So I'm going to talk a little bit about the topic for the conversation tonight was logos, branding, and the creative use of signage. So I'm mostly going to focus on the creative use of signage because you may or may not know that my dad was in the sign business. So I grew up, I became an artist pretty much because when I came home from school, I would go into his sign shop and I would play with materials. And ultimately, one day, an art gallery moved into Runnemede. It was the Gaslight Gallery. They were located on the Black Horse Pike. It's the long building, not Runnemede Heating's building, but the long one next to it, the long, low white one. So that was the Gaslight Gallery, and the owner of that place came in to get a sign from my dad because my dad was the town sign painter. And during that process, my dad said to Don Heddle, he was the owner, "Oh, I want you to look at my son's drawings because he can't play football, he can't play basketball, he doesn't play he tried playing the guitar, he wasn't good at that, but he won't stop like drawing and making things." So Don looked at my work and said to my dad, "You know, Bill, your son is gifted. He should start to take lessons at my gallery." So whether or not I was gifted or whether or not Don was gifted, but somehow he conned my dad into having me take lessons at his gallery. And that is how I ended up first becoming an artist. So I wanted to tell that story. Now a little bit about the logo for Reimagine Runnemede. During a time of brainstorming, and this was with Diane Fredrickson and I, we were talking a little bit, and I came up with the idea for Reimagine Runnemede with the two R's, having alliteration, having a kind of a poetry to it, and having sort of a symmetry. So when it came down to coming up with the logo, I began to play around a little bit with two R's. And I tried different kinds of typefaces, different kinds of R's, putting them back to back to see what we could come up with. And then I asked Rochelle to help me with this conversation. So what you see here on the one side is a very stylized black R. And then on the other side is a flip of that with this very colorful, and that is also an R that has been transformed. And one of the things that you see is it's made up of little building blocks from the community. So that is what this is. It's the community coming together and transforming this very black, thing with no color into this very colorful and lively community. So that's the little bit of story behind this. And every logo, yeah, so now you know. Right from the start. Mm-hmm. So every logo, and it has a sense of unity, and it creates this very strong graphic form with the two of them together. So that was a little bit of that. And then it was also trying to find a way to highlight the word imagine in Reimagine. So we played around with that a little bit in different ways with making that kind of pop or do different things. All right, so that's a little bit of story. And I think logos are very important. Branding is really important. And one of the things that I've noticed that the younger people are really responding to are brands and things that are slightly irreverent. So if you think of, this is not your father's root beer. These are not your grandmom's tacos. Those are some bylines of things that are happening. So I did bring in, since I've started to do some painting, I found, this company, and I ended up, buying their t-shirt because it says "dang" on the front of it, which is this really bold. That's the name of their company. It's Prime Dang Paint. And I bought a bunch of it to try it out. I don't think it's very good paint, but it's a really cool logo, and it got me to buy it. So those are some things to think about. I think it's very young. I like the color palette that they picked for it. It really pops. So things like that are very important. Okay, so now I'm going to get into some images that I created for you, put together for you guys tonight. So let's see. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is bad signs. This is an example of a bad sign. Now remember, what does signage do? It attracts your attention, and it is the first thing that people see about your business. So if your sign is broken, peeling, faded, that basically says that your business is broken, peeling, and faded. So those are some things to think about. If you, I don't know if you can read this, let me zoom in on it. So here is the sign in a restaurant. It says, try our winter delights, prime rib roast, eye round, stuffed loin of pork, stuffed fresh ham. But it's done in magic marker, and it's got tape on the window. And then the tape is very dirty, if you can see it, it's all torn. So I would not eat at this place. So if you are a restaurant in Runnemede and you're putting these cheap hand-drawn signs in your window, you really want to think about, what are you doing? Let's go to the next one. So this was something that my dad would have related to. Bad signs are a sign of bad, can you fill in the blank? Bad business, exactly. If you have a bad sign, it's a reflection that your business is bad. Really, really simple stuff. And if you decide that you're going to hire a sign company, their sign better be good. Because what does this say? So a lot of people are going to those fast, quickie, printer, banner kinds of places to get their signs. And that is bad too. Now, signs can be, they can catch your attention in ways that you may not really think about. So you want to really make sure that you have done some proofreading. And so people got to watch out for this. Does get your attention. It's very, very memorable. There you go. And this one, I will tell you that I saw almost this exact sign in Dublin, but it said that they had a topless redhead, which I think is even a little bit one step up. But you can make your signs intentionally bad if your clients can tell that it's intentionally bad. So that becomes something else that you begin to have fun with them in some ways. Now, you want your signs to be clear. Here is a little luncheon menu on your A-frame. You put this out there. You don't know, like, what the heck is going on with this. So, don't do things like this. Yeah, exactly. So you want to be clear. And also, you don't want your permanent sign for your business to be a banner. And that happens a lot. Now, banners are designed to be temporary. Some towns actually have ordinances that you cannot use this as your permanent sign. Runnemede does not have that. So there are some businesses in town that just get this cheap banner printed up and put up. And then they leave it there forever. So this is not a good solution either. What's the last one here? Oops, small. Because this is what you want the sign to do. This is the whole purpose of the sign. You want people to look at it. So signs will reflect different things. There are very classical signs that stand the test of time. This would be a gold leaf reverse glass sign. This goes back to fancy law firms. It's interesting, these are now being adapted in bars, and tattoo parlors are really using this kind of gold leaf back gold leaf signage. You want your business to have a catchy title. So this one I thought was cool when I came across it, the Clever Little Tailor. So it's the name of your business, but it also says a lot about you. It says that you're a tailor, and you're not just an average tailor, you're a clever tailor, and you're not like a big, host a big place with lots of stuff going on. You're the little clever tailor. So whoever created this business put a lot of thought into their name, and then they presented it in a very classic way. And this is, again, I think, playing around with that same kind of window image, but now they're playing around with an optical illusion also, which is, giving you another creative aspect that your mind is kind of playing around with too. So we were looking at different kinds of signs. Signs can be a hanging sign like this with various elements. The materials that you make your sign out of will say something about the quality of your business and the materials that you make. So here you see, they're using steel. It's giving it a very kind of durable, classic sort of a look. Whoops. On to the next one. This one I thought was really clever. Both of these are clever because they're playing around with some puns. This one, the small one in the background says large, but it's done in small print. And then this one with the studio, that's also an arrow. I mean, I might put this one on my building because I liked it so much when I found it, because I thought that's really great. It's directional and it's telling you what the business is. And this was a sign, also like a billboard sign in another country. This is the name of their business, but they're having some fun with it. They're creating, again, an optical illusion. And there aren't many signs in Runnemede that someone would actually go and take a selfie in front of because they thought it was so cool. So that, I think, is something else to think about. Can you really play with it and make it really cool? That is a flat surface. Yeah, it's just painted to give you this optical illusion. Right. So those are things that, and really this is not that expensive to do. This is probably on par with like buying a lighted sign, but how much more impact does this have? So this that one I thought was really great. Yeah, so after you think about that, you want to think about like, how do you say that your business is open? It seems that everybody in our general area are buying those blue and red signs. It says open in the center. It's got blue on the side with little lights. It just turns around like that, and everybody has them. So when everybody has something, it's no longer unique and people don't see it. So this one is making like a big impression. They're doing that. These I thought were a really beautiful upscale version of the open sign. And you can buy these at as a set. So they also say closed on it. So you've got it, you're putting them up every day. It's either open or closed. So your clientele can already see that from the street because it's coming out as a banner on an angle. And it's a really classical typeface that's easy to read. And they've also made it easy to read by making it black and white. So those colors, I mean, like having it be such a severe palette, really adds to the legibility of it. So I was trying to think of things like what would make an impact to a car going 35 miles an hour down the pike. Seeing a banner like this, you would know, hey, that place is open before I look for a parking spot. And then this is another idea. Look what they've done here. Not only have they put the open, but they said they're proud to be locally owned and operated. So they're also saying something about community and shop local, which is really important. So they're communicating that as well. Here you have the A-frames on the street. So these can give a subtle indication to what the decor is in your actual shop. So without even going in, you can get a sense of what's going on, what the shop is probably like. And are they allowed on our? I do not know. That's a really good question. Yeah, you have to take them in and out. So one of the things that Jaime said in our other thing was having things that you're putting in front of your storefront that you're taking in and out every day. That's animating the front of the shop. And when you put things out there that could otherwise be stolen if you were closed, that's also giving people the impression that you were actually open. So all of those things are good. Okay. And these can be, again, done in very different styles so that they are reflecting your business. They don't have to be all the same. And that's their logo. Yeah, they're using their logo on it as well. So they've got their logo, their O Boutique, and then at the bottom it says that we're open. So, just continuing their branding. And then, hey, before you even open, how about this rather than just like the brown paper on the windows? Like, hooray, we're opening soon. So you give that sense of anticipation. So as people are driving by, they're already beginning to make a mental note of what the shop is going to be. When we were at the last meeting that we had with the Commerce, Chamber of Commerce, he said, how about putting that in the windows of, something is going to happen here. Yeah. Or, Yeah. Yeah, that was that was actually one of the ideas that Jaime had mentioned at the talk that David and I went to down in Atlantic City. He said, rather than having empty storefronts, because every empty storefront that you have has a disproportionate effect on the businesses around it. So just by putting up something amazing is coming soon is enough to begin to subtly change that perception. So reaching out to those vacant store owners and saying, hey, you're trying to rent your place, why don't you put something like this up so people will know that, they'll start looking at it. And then signs can be very interesting and completely nonverbal. So this is a restroom sign in a wine bar. And you guys, did I make it large enough that you guys can see it? So something is clever, it's going to be memorable, things like that. Now, always having a sense of humor, it's a really good idea with your signage. So I wanted to include some examples that don't have to actually have words. So this one, you're driving by this at 35 miles an hour and you know that this is a place to eat without even knowing the name of the place. And you have a sense that these guys are probably pretty cool. It's probably going to be a pretty hip spot. So it's not going to be your grandma's tacos. It's going to be something else. So you want to have some places like this. Whoops, what did I just do? I just made it so small it disappeared.
You have quite a collection.
I worked this up today for you guys. So open. I may have to quick go through here to catch up to where I was. I'm sorry. I did that. Okay. Now, once you have your open sign, then some other things you can begin to think about are, some clever things that you're doing inside of your building. So imagine this inside of like one of our little restaurants, and it has this is the sign. If you're looking for a sign, this is it. Those kinds of things. Like you have found what you are looking for. That's kind of what this is highlighting right here with the. And what they've done is not only put that sign that's giving you the one thing, but also they're highlighting this little area so it becomes really memorable. And I could see people taking photographs, doing Instagram in this space, saying, hey, what a cool space this is. So any of our little restaurants in Runnemede could easily adapt something like this. And then signs that may talk about your brand, or it may talk about something you believe in. Like for me, every morning I got to have my espresso to get my brain working. So when I see this, I know this is someone who has, we're on the same, this is part of my tribe. If I see that they're talking about coffee, they're in my tribe. Or you could put something up that just reflects your values. Just a big sign on the wall that says, do good things. Because that is good for your business because it creates a feeling of this is something that the business owner felt strongly enough about to make it huge and put it on the wall of their business. So this guy's probably a good guy, so those kinds of things. This one I really liked. It's just a little thing like you've got your business that's kind of hard to find. Maybe you put up something like this, come hang out with an arrow. So one of the things is if your business is located at a bad location, you may need to invest in some directional markers that help people find your place. You're around the corner. So this is a really good example of how somebody creatively solved that. And then this one I think is really creative also. You don't know what this is. It's kind of like a sale. Maybe they're having a sale or whatever's happening here. You want to get it before they sell out of it. All right, so boom, there's those kinds of things. They're playing around with your perceptions. They have a good sense of humor. This just to put out, again, a little table and a little sign that says life is beautiful, and just put that out there. That's going to reflect on your business and also in your community. Or maybe it's this, like I could see me painting this somewhere in town. Creativity is in all of us. Just one big beautiful graphic.
The ones from Atlantic City.
I don't know. I didn't see exactly where this one was from. But again, it's not exactly a storefront, but it is giving you if you owned the business that was behind that door, even without having a sign up of what you've got going on, people are going to know where it is. You just have to tell them, you know where that mural is that says creativity? Oh yeah, I know where that is. So, well, my business is located right behind that door. So those are some ways that become really memorable. And this is another one that I like on a couple of different levels. It's very simple. It's clever because of the way that they've played with the lettering. So it takes you a moment to read it. And then it's also it's a call to action as well. Yeah. So yeah. So I'd like to see, you know, some little murals like this could happen in Runnymede. Yeah. So that's good. And then begin to think of like what would be some unexpected places you could put, like where else could you put a sign? So this one I saw and like, this is great. You know, if you have the right place for it, you put that. If you want to talk about walking traffic, like this is what people remember when you have walking traffic, because you are rewarding them for taking the time to walk down your street, and they're seeing like little things like that. So that's one. This one you read up from the bottom. So you got that. Again, you wouldn't necessarily think of like these are places to put signs, but these are great places to put signs.
These are the little details that people remember.
Exactly.
Back and it's like, oh, what else am I
And I love this one. This is just like, this is on the sidewalk. Oops. I just signed this one out. Yeah. So you just see that when you're walking past the place, and you're going to remember them whether or not they're selling anything. So I think these are the kind of creative things that I wanted to share that would be other ways that the local businesses could think outside of the box, try some things that are not really risky. It's not lots of money. There are, like the guy that was just here could probably print you a vinyl street graphic that would hold up for, you know, like a couple years. And that's enough, you know, to like do something like that. And so see some things like that. Yeah, so since this is being recorded, I wanted to make sure that this was going out to the businesses. So I would, as my parting comment, I would say that if you are not creative enough to think these up on your own, it's very easy to source these things on the internet by just typing in creative use of signage. That's all I did to come up with a lot of these images tonight. All these were taken from Pinterest, so that's where I looked. So Pinterest is a great resource for seeing visual things. Yeah. Okay. Any questions about signage?
anecdote for that.
Okay.
On Saturday, I was at a World Cafe Live. This is just fitting. I was at World Cafe Live. We ran into a friend we hadn't seen in a while. She asked us to meet for a drink in the city, you know, at some future date. And she said we should meet at Dirty Frank's. And I'm like, Dirty Frank's, never heard of it. But she said, similar to that last sign, that there is around the corner a ribbon that is just all names of famous Franks. Frank Sinatra, Frank. But it doesn't say it on the door. It's like it leads you like crumbs to the trail of that's how you know. But she remembered that to describe to us. And now I, 2 days later, remember Dirty Frank's.
Right.
Versus just saying meet us at Dirty Frank's and I wouldn't have associated anything. But that's how she told the story, was like, you're going to see a ribbon and it's going to have all these famous Frank names and you'll know that you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, there's a great bar and restaurant in Philadelphia called the Standard Tap, and their front door, rather than having bars on it as a security grill, it's all made out of copper pipe and plumbing fixtures. So it's Standard Tap, and it has like taps and stuff on it. So again, like using your creativity to create something that people will remember. You know, they'll remember the name of the bar because of that, just because of that door, they're going to remember it. So things like that, I think, you know, I really want to encourage our local businesses in South Jersey, which is the target for this, to begin to like think a little bit more. Don't, you know, just copy what you're seeing everybody else doing, but try to really like, how can I be unique? Because, and the big message that I want to get out is, you know, taking LED lights and putting them around your window and making them flash in 15 different colors is not what's going to capture someone's attention. It's going to distract them, but they're not going to remember it. Like, I stood in front of this thing and it said, you know, how many more miles it was to the moon right up over my head. So like I think that's the important message that I wanted to get out. Yeah, well, I'm going to do so what I'm going to do right now is to thank our sponsors. So I do want to thank Holman for the money that they gave us. And I also want to thank the New Jersey State Council on the Arts that gave us money through the Camden County Cultural and Heritage Commission that made this whole workshop series possible. I want to thank the local businesses that have been coming out, even though they're not coming out to all of them, but we are recording all this information because we know that everyone's schedule is very busy, and we want to make sure that this will be available and have a ripple effect, far beyond this scope of time when we are having them in person. And I also want to give a shout out to Camden County College that so graciously gave us this beautiful meeting space, allowing us to hold our workshop series here.